Good afternoon, Rebels. Today is Wednesday, April 29th, and I'm really excited to come to you guys today. I hope you guys have been having a great week. Um, I'm excited the weather's finally started to get a little warmer. We've had a few sunny days. So my family and we've been getting out and going for walks and bike rides. And it's nice to just be able to get out and enjoy a few good days. I'm hoping that the sun continues and that maybe the rainy days are behind us. I'm also excited to announce that we are officially up to 31 students who have submitted a research topic through KidBlog. And today I want to talk about the next steps in that research. But before I do, I just want to briefly remind you about the independent reading and the literature circle. While 31 people have submitted a topic, I have noticed that on KidBlog, there's not many people who have been blogging about their independent reading book. So here I am looking at KidBlog, and I can see lots of people are on KidBlog, and lots of people are posting a variety of different things. I see your Learning Fair topics are coming up on here. People are blogging just some fun and interesting things. So I really hope that in the coming days, I would start to see more people blogging about their independent reading books. And to remind you, you guys could go back to our YouTube channel and you could go to the lesson I published on April 14th right here, and you could rewatch this Intro to Lit Circles in case you need a review of what you're supposed to do with those independent reading books. It'd be great to see you guys post some information about the things that you guys are reading. Another thing that I would challenge you to do is, before this school shutdown began, I would every week put out a video to show your moms and dads what a regular day in language arts would look like. Well, now that you're home, I would challenge you guys, if you wanted to, you could make your own video about what a day in your life is like now that you are doing homeschooling and you are home. What is it that you wake up and do in the morning? What do you do in the afternoon? So it would be great to see you guys, like I did in the beginning of the year, making videos about this year and the kinds of things that we were doing on a daily basis. You can make your own videos just using your smartphones or your devices, and you could publish those up on the KidBlog, and you could share what your life is like on a regular basis, and so your friends could see you and what you're doing at home, kind of like a video diary. So that would be another thing that you guys could do. All right, now shifting over here to the actual lesson for today. We see today is Wednesday, April 29th. And if we look at the topic for today, it is drafting day number 1. All right. Today specifically is about the intro and the problem. So let me scroll down here to our first activity. You can see there it is, drafting. You can see the standards we're working on. And I want to refer right here to our timeline like we always do. This timeline keeps us on pace. So I go down, I find April 29th, here it is, and it says drafting day. You can see we have 3 days specifically dedicated to drafting. One is for drafting the intro and the problem, that would be today. Friday, it's all about drafting the causes and the effects, or the pros and cons. And then Monday, May 4th, is about drafting the solution and the conclusion. I've included a 4th drafting day, which would be a week from today, and that's really for finishing any parts of the draft that you weren't able to finish. So we have 4 days on our research project timeline dedicated to drafting. So what I'm going to show you today, I don't want you to think you have to do. In fact, I want you to take your time on it to make sure that you're doing your absolute best, okay? So today, if you start drafting, it would be just drafting the first 2 paragraphs, and then you would come back on Friday or on another day, and you would draft the next 2 paragraphs, and then you would draft your last 2 paragraphs, okay? So to remind you, we've gone from this is what your paper is going to be laid out. This is how it's going to be structured, all right? And this outline follows directly along with this outline that hopefully you guys have been using to plan out your writing. Okay, so we've gone from this and gathering the information on those other graphic organizers, okay, to outlining everything. So now, once you go from your outline, it's now time to start drafting. And what I want to share with you guys today is actually a finished paper that a student wrote in years past to really show you what a final copy of your paper is going to look like. All right. And so I'm going to zoom in here a little bit so we can get a really better look. Don't forget, go right to the blog, follow along so you can see this. All right. So this is his intro paragraph. And in his intro paragraph, he needs to have a hook, the background information about what his topic is, why it's important, and his thesis statement. So I'm going to read this aloud to you guys. We're going to see if it has all three of those parts. It says this. Do you like to drink water loaded with salts and chemicals? People with hydraulic fracturing wells in their state have to drink this plus acid, detergent, and more in their tap water every day. We need energy, and the ways to get it are limited, so we have turned to hydrofracking. So this is the topic of his research paper. This student was researching hydrofracking, and hydrofracking is a way to get natural gas and oil out of the earth. So you can see so far he did have a hook, he used a question, and now he's getting into his background information about what his topic is and why he cares about it. So I'm going to continue reading right here. In New York and Pennsylvania, we hydrofrack the Marcellus Shale, which holds 80 billion barrels of oil. But by fracking the shale under our feet, we can fill over 80 billion gallons of water with detergents, salts, acids, alcohols, lubricants, and disinfectants from the mixed in frac fluid. If we continue to push hydrofracking in New York State, pretty soon we could have 355 plus chemicals, including acid and methane, in our daily water. Imagine one day you look and there's no clean water in sight with droughts everywhere. If we get 100 plus wells in New York State, there are also plenty of links connecting fracking to earthquakes, sinkholes, and even some of the chemicals in frac fluid can cause cancer. All right, that's all of his background information. This last sentence, we're looking for his thesis statement. What is it that he believes, and what does he think needs to be done about it, okay? We should not hydrofrack, so we can save our environment and water before it becomes too late for us and the earth. So we see right here in this opening statement, he believes that we should not hydrofrack. Why, or what's the so? It's so we can save our environment and our water before it becomes too late for us to save the earth. All right, that's a good opening paragraph. This is a good model for you guys to follow. Now, his second paragraph is where he's going to discuss the problem. He needs to describe the problem and support his description with facts and evidence. There are lots of problems with hydrofracking. Notice how he uses the word problem right in his introductory sentence. We know clearly that this paragraph is going to be about the problems. For one, it contaminates and wastes lots of water. Secondly, it can cause earthquakes and sinkholes, as well as oil spills and cancer. Lastly, to build wells and the dumping of frac fluid means trees are cut down or poisoned and killed. All right, so first, you see he gives three very clear examples of the problem. That's in his own words. Now, he's going to support what he said with his research. You're going to see him use language like this, according to the data and research. Okay, so let's read right here where he brings in his facts and evidence. According to data from livescience.com, it says that some chemicals in frac fluid can cause cancer. Research done by peacecouncil.net also shows that building hydrofracking sites cuts down trees. Studies also done by Greenpeace.org shows that fracking one well can cause between 4 to 8 billion gallons of water. These bite-sized pieces of research show that the huge hydrofracking industry can cause huge disastrous problems. And we see in that last sentence how he supports and connects the research to what he described the problem to be. Now, this paper, it's very well written. It's not perfect. There are still things that this student could do to improve their paper. But again, I read this to you as a model for you as you go to write your own paper. Now, his third paragraph would either be about the causes or about the pros, okay? And because he's doing hydrofracking, this student, I believe, focused on the pros and the cons. So let's read this paragraph here. In America, currently we are having an energy crisis and we need new energy resources. With the energy crisis, we are losing money and jobs. Hydrofracking, people think, will help us. Again, you can see that's not a perfectly written sentence. There are going to be some times where we find grammatical errors and other things like that. But again, overall, this is a good essay for you guys to model your own writing after. Research done by Empire Center shows that countries with 200 plus wells increased jobs at a 7% higher rate than the normal 8% job increase of countries with 200 wells. Empire Center also shows that if we open the New York section of the Marcellus Shale, it would create $11.4 billion in economic output. This research also shows that it would create 15,000 to 18,000 jobs to drill and extract the 80 billion barrels of oil that the shale holds. This research shows that we need fuel, gas, and jobs, all of which by hydrofracking in New York State can help with. All right. So you can see in this paragraph, he's focusing on the pros. Even though he believes that we should not hydrofrack, he's taking the time to create a paragraph where he says there are some benefits to hydrofracking, and he outlines those in this paragraph. And now this next paragraph is going to be a paragraph all about the cons or the consequences. If we continue to hydrofrack, the environment could die twice as fast as we are currently killing it with pollution. By building sites, we have to cut down trees, added with and according to Greenpeace.org, the continuation of dumping wastewater on sites can kill ground vegetation in days and trees in less than 2 years. Also, by manufacturing so much oil, we open up the transporting disasters of shipping oil, causing oil spills, which can kill ocean and beach life in days. Also, research done by Investopedia.com says fracking can lead to sinkholes and worsen earthquakes. This evidence shows that fracking can have dangerous side effects on the environment. So this paragraph talks about the cons. Now, for his fifth paragraph, he needs to talk about the solutions. And part of this paragraph is for him to describe the effects if nothing is done. And for this student, he actually broke it up into 2 short paragraphs. This first paragraph, he outlines what would happen if we just continue to hydrofrack and we do nothing to deal with the problem. And then down here, he talks about the solution. So let's see how he laid this out. Though, if we continue to hydrofrack, you will look at this paper, then look up and see it has become a reality. Imagine droughts everywhere with brownouts every day. What little water is left is black and brown from contamination of hundreds of chemicals. Sinkholes cover the earth like bullet holes, with earthquakes a daily occurrence. Our oceans are black with oil, and bloated bodies line the shores with clumps of dead animals floating in the oceans like lily pads. Our air is thick with smog. It's deadly to breathe. Whew. He paints a very grim picture of the earth if we don't do anything to deal with the problem. So now he talks about the solutions. Though, if we learn to reuse byproducts and use other methods on fracking sites, we can save our earth. If instead we use dirt instead of a sand, or water pressure instead of acid and chemicals, and then reuse the frac fluid, it has outlived its use, then we can filter it and drink it. At frac sites, we can designate those as the ones so there are no new ones built. We can also use wind energy and use frac fluid instead of water for water power. Evidence from Empire Center shows that we need energy and that there are clean ways to do this without any disastrous or contamination. That is why my evidence is self-explanatory and why we need to change our ways before the earth is uninhabitable. All right, so there are a couple grammatical errors. I actually had some trouble reading a few lines. The student would definitely need to go back and revise a few of his sentences to make them clear on what he's trying to say. But he does present some solutions, such as wind energy, reusing frac fluid, limiting the number of fracking sites in New York State. So he does a decent job of presenting the solutions. Okay, his last paragraph is his conclusion, where he should reflect, connect, and recommend. So let's read this. With all the evidence my research shows, I am positive that hydrofracking is bad for us and the environment. I have concluded that we shouldn't hydrofrack in our country, especially our state. This is because research shows that fracking can cause deforestation and earthquakes. It can also cause sinkholes, oil spills, and cancer. So you see right there, he's summarizing. He is connecting what's in this conclusion paragraph to all of the evidence that he has spoken about. He's not bringing in new evidence. He's reminding you of all of the evidence that he's already spoken about. Frac fluid, which is a byproduct of hydrofracking, also contaminates our water. That is why I recommend, here we go. This is now his recommendations. That is why I recommend that in our state, you vote against hydrofracking. I also recommend you warn others around you about the dangers of fracking in our state. Together, we can save our earth and ourselves from the disastrous future we are hurtling towards. You can see there how he finishes with some nice, strong recommendations. He recommends what we can do. It would have been nice to see him make some recommendations to actually state officials like governors and mayors or even oil companies. But he does end with some good recommendations there. Okay. So now that I've shared that model of a paper, again, you can see that that paper was well written. It's not without its mistakes, especially some grammatical errors in there. He used some evidence in every single paragraph. He had a good voice as he described the problem, the pros and the cons, and the effects, and he finished with some good recommendations. There's always things that you can do to improve a paper, even a well-written paper like the one that I just shared with you. Okay, so your task now is you have an entire week to be working on your draft. Go back to that timeline, and remember, you don't need to try to write this whole thing in one day. Today, I would just go ahead and start with trying to do the intro and the problem. Just do 1 or 2 paragraphs at a time. Then put your paper aside, come back to it a day or two later, and try to draft the next 2 paragraphs. I'll come back to you guys in probably early next week to share with you guys the next steps once you have a first draft written. So in the meantime, guys, I hope that you can get outside. I hope this weather stays nice. Just take your time on this, and hopefully some of you guys will actually choose to get on to KidBlog and share about your independent reading books, or share a little bit about your video diary. If you don't want to make a video, you could just create your own diary entry and write about what your life is like at home right now. That would be great to see. So you guys just have a great week. Know that I'm thinking of you. If you guys need anything, reach out to me on KidBlog with all your questions. So stay safe, stay healthy, and you guys have a good one. Bye.